Hi, and thanks for watching. In the last video I made about engagement-based segmentation, I forgot one really important thing that can affect accounts very positively, or sometimes it doesn't make as big a difference. Either way, it's very good to test, it's very good to know about. And I'm talking about Apple Privacy Open. So I'm sure you've heard about the Apple Privacy Update. It was a big deal in email marketing when it came out, iOS 15. Basically, it made open tracking very unreliable for people who have Apple privacy settings turned on for their emails. And what happens is essentially Apple preloads emails when people who have these privacy settings on open their email app. So what this means is it sends an open event to email providers, even though the email hasn't been actually opened. So concretely, what that means for your segmentation is you could have a person who is in your engaged segment because they've opened three emails in the last, or they've opened 10 emails in the last 180 days, according to the data, but in reality, they've opened zero. They're not interested in their emails. They go to their promotions tab. They don't even see them and they don't want to receive them. So, what that creates is a big discrepancy between the reality of things and what the data shows us. And it's heavily linked to Apple Privacy Opens. So, how do we correct that? How do we make sure that our segmentation is accurate and that we don't run into an issue? Because I just talked about this with one person, but in certain cases, it's 30,000 people that are in that situation where they just don't open our emails, but based on the data, we think that they're opening the emails. So there's one very easy trick that you just have to know about um, in Klaviyo to make that problem go away. There's a price to pay. It's basically you reduce the size of your sending segment, but we'll get into that. First, let me show you how to create it. So, if you haven't watched the video on creating engagement-based segmentation, feel free to watch that. I go much more in depth into how to create these engagement-based segments. I'm not going to go into that now because this is just about the Apple privacy thing, and I want to keep this short. But feel free. I'll link the other video in the description, so feel free to go back and watch that if this is of any interest to you. Engagement-based segmentation is super powerful. But with that being said, I'm going to stay focused on the Apple privacy issue. So we're going to just recreate basic engagement-based segments. So in terms of naming, what I suggest, obviously don't do the test thing. That's just for me to know that I can delete this later. One engagement, because it's one open or click. 180 days is the time frame that I picked for this demo, but you can pick any time frame. And excluding Apple privacy here, this is what I put to show that this segment excludes Apple privacy opens. So this does not exclude Apple privacy opens. I just want to show you the segment, 72,000 people approximately in it. Um, and so what we're going to do now is exclude Apple privacy opens. So what that is going to do is it's going to exclude anyone who has set their Apple Mail settings to privacy mode. And so the price here is basically you're going to exclude some people who are actually opening your emails because there's no way for us to tell if someone has enabled this privacy mode if they are actually opening or not. So if they're clicking, this is not going to affect them. But if they're just opening emails, then there's no way for us to know for sure. And so that's why it's important to create this segment and actually test it against a segment without this excluding Apple privacy. Because in some accounts, I've seen this make a big difference in engagement, which was a sign that a lot of people that were in that batch that we can't really track opens for were actually not opening emails. And so that was dragging down our deliverability and making it more difficult for people who were actually opening the emails to see them in their inbox. And in some accounts, it's made a big difference in the numbers here. It's dropped the size of the segment by a lot, but then it didn't make a big difference in terms of engagement. which to me is a sign that even though people have Apple privacy mode on in their audience, it seems like a lot of them are actually still opening the emails. So in that case, we don't have to use a smaller segment that excludes Apple. But if you're having issues with engagement, and you're not sure why that is, it could always be a frequency, but it can also be linked to Apple privacy. For instance, in this account, it was there was a strong link to Apple privacy. And once we started excluding Apple privacy opens, click rate jumped up, and we actually started generating more sales just because we were able to reach more inboxes because we're not going, we're not sending to people that we're not engaging. So with all that being said, this is just for context. Let's add, let's exclude Apple privacy opens, and this is super simple. All you do is in here in open emails, you click add filter, you search Apple privacy open, there it is, equals false. So anyone who set Apple privacy opens now is going to be excluded on that segment. So as you can see, it was at 72,000 people previously. Now it's jumped to 41,000. So we've excluded 30,000 people just with this filter. So it often makes a really big difference in your segment size. So the only thing you have to test again is, it doesn't make a difference in your engagement later, because that's really what we care about. Um, if we're able to reach more people with a smaller sending segment, that's worth it, right? If our click rates go up and our number of total clicks, not just percentage wise, but the number of total clicks go up, which might happen even with a smaller sending segment, then it's worth it to exclude people, even if some of them are actually engaging. We're just making a small sacrifice for a bigger return. Um, and so that's all it is. It's really simple. And then if you see this making a big difference, if you see this segment working for you, you can apply all the methods that I showed in the engagement segmentation by engagement video, and you can change the time frames here, that you can change the number of engagements. One thing that's important to note is for clicked emails, um, this clicks are not affected by this Apple privacy thing. So you don't have to do anything about clicks. You can just use regular clicks. Um, and if you're worried that you're going to lose some people because they're that are genuine subscribers just because they have Apple privacy mode on, but they're still really opening your emails, if you're worried about excluding those, keep in mind that we still track their clicks. So in this segment, this means that if people who have opened an email in the last 180 days but not clicked a single one would be excluded by this. So, you also have to think about, are these really engaged people? If they just opened some emails and never clicked in the last 6 months, let's say if you send 3 emails per week, then that's not a very strong sign of engagement. So maybe these aren't the most engaged people. Maybe these aren't the ones that you should focus on. And it might be worth focusing only on these 41,000 people and making sure we get to their inbox. I'm just saying this because I hear this a lot. People pay for these profiles, and so they don't like me telling them to just remove half of the list because that's a really big decision. Um, it feels like you spend money on Facebook ads and then you get these leads, these subscribers, or you get purchasers, and purchases have a cost of acquisition as well. So you spend money on getting these subscribers, and then someone comes along and tells you, "Oh, let's remove 50% of your list right now." Um, in my experience, it's been worth it. The other thing I want to say is don't just don't just suppress them. Just park them in a different segment. You don't have to get rid of them fully. You can just create these segments and test what it does over a few weeks. If your click rates go up and if your sales go up as a result, that's great. Keep it up. If not, just revert to the old sending strategy. Use the old segments. You don't have to um, you don't have to burn bridges. You can just test things and revert back to the old strategy if it doesn't work. So again, this is just something that is can be really powerful if you're having issues with your click rate. And even if not, it can be good to test just for curiosity. It doesn't hurt to add this segment to a campaign on top of the regular sending segment, and then going into the analytics and looking by segment. which one did better, what's the difference in click rate, and if there's no big difference, then you know it's all good. You can keep using the regular segment, and if not, if there is a big difference, then you know you might want to use this as a standard. So I'm going to stop this here. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and feel free to follow to get more insights and see more videos of me diving deep into accounts and explaining some of these concepts.